So I had this idea about, you remember the electric company with the Pointer Sisters jam,
Yeah.
the numbers? So that would be a cool intro in because it's like kind of like your countdown.
Well, I don't know how to break this to you, but we just started, so we
Right,
we could do the electric company thing later. Kind of
right. Well, it was just kind of a way to kind of like break the ice because
I
I don't
was
know. I remember watching that when I was a kid. I still pull it up on YouTube now, but like that was kind of my introduction to jazz fusion. Because
oh
it's if you look at all the people who are playing, like if you do the research on who's playing on all that stuff, it's pretty badass. But I don't know. I just thought about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then after each chorus or a section, then they go into like the jam of whoever it is, the pan drums, the bassist, the horn player, or whatever,
it's been a
and then
while.
there's like a scat one too with the Pointer Sisters scatting. So, but anyway, so that was my non sequitur intro. Thanks, Cedric.
Hey guys, and all you people out there in watching my interview land, it's time for another conversation with Cerdec Songs. As usual, I ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, to like and make comments and all that other good stuff because you're going to have a lot of fun today. Complete disclosure, full disclosure here, I am basically a groupie of these gentlemen I'm about to talk to. I've seen them several times. They are among my dearest friends in the city of Chicago. They welcome me in, and I really appreciate it. They are actually two bands, one trio, two bands, and that's something we've got to talk about. For now, we're talking to Sons of Ra. We're talking to guitarist Erik Oldman. We're talking to bassist and saxophonist Keith Wakefield, and we're talking to drummer Mike Rataj, who we're going to get another talent for. You
Rate.
know, yeah, Rataj. I'm sorry, Rataj. I meant to ask you that before.
I was
Shame.
like thinking, I was like,
You know
is this gonna
now.
go?
Yeah. He's Rataj, folks. He's not Rataj. He's Rataj. Everybody, it just looks
Okay,
that way when you write it down. So how's it going, fellas?
great, man.
That's pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to dive in to whatever end of the pool it is we're going to dive into. But we were talking a little while ago that you guys have just about wrapped up recording a new record.
Oh no,
So
it's done. Yeah, we're not
it's
recording
it's
anything else.
it is done.
The
We still
recording
have to
part is
mix,
done. Yeah,
we still have to
Okay.
mix it though. We're still in the mixing
yeah.
process.
We're just getting
Okay.
started with mix.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. So the album is called Standard Deviation. Um, when we reformed the band 8 years ago, 9 years ago, yeah,
Yeah.
9 years ago,
You're
right?
you're
The
you're old,
COVID
man.
coefficient.
Right.
Um,
Right.
uh, we went in a much heavier direction with the music. That's just kind of where our heads were at the time. And then sort of the progressive and jazz aspects started kind of coming out of the material we started writing with our previous lineup. Um, and then we put out a couple of EPs, had plenty of that, but I think during the lockdown, during the kind of 2 year period of the pandemic, we really kind of examined where we can't come from individually, but also collectively. But there was also this kind of desire for Keith and I to like, hey, let's go back to our real roots here of like just playing jazz standards. I mean, we haven't
Yeah.
played together in like over a year, but in person, and it's like, all right, let's just kind of go do something different and just kind of start square one. Square one for us is literally opening up our real books or fake books and just like, hey, remember this tune? We just kind of started just jamming through it, and I'm like, all right, what would we sound like if we actually brought some of this stuff into like potentially a live show? And we really liked it. And what helped drive that was Keith was really into getting into playing tenor sax again. Um, and I think that was like kind of the thing that was like, all right, well, we have that, and that would lend itself to like just kind of getting through again, going back these rudimentary forms with standards, rethinking some of that, and then knowing that'll probably inform kind of our writing process moving forward. We know we wanted to work on an album. We delayed it, but then we started working on this other stuff. I don't know. You guys want to jump in to kind of add to that?
Yeah.
It's kind
I
of the
was just about to
beginnings
ask
of,
Keith what
yeah.
I was just about to ask Keith what drove you back into playing the sax again. What spurred you?
I mean, I think that I had stopped for years, first of all, because I grew up playing sax, and I really, started to play bass when I got to college, and but when I played bass, I still kind of thought like a sax player. So
Yeah.
in order to really kind of truly bond with the bass, I gave up the sax, and it was just more applicable because I was playing a lot of rock and metal. So it was it was just so the bass just made more sense. But then some friends and family members actually bought me a sax and, it's a few years ago. I had it sitting around, but you know what happens in COVID? You have extra time on your hands, and you're like, well, let's play with this. Let's play with this. So I ended up playing more with it, and yeah, we had the idea, and maybe we can incorporate this a little bit. So
I
that's
like
what
it.
it is.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that this is a new lineup because Mike Rataj is the new guy. So
Yeah.
so new guy.
Newish.
What yeah, newish, but well, Neil Peart was the new guy in Rush for the longest. So what
5 years.
yeah,
Uh,
5 years,
Next
15 minutes.
weekend is 5 years. Yeah, he'll be a member of
Wow,
Sons of Rock. Yeah.
that's crazy talk. What drew you to this band, Mike?
Well, I think kind of the idea with experimentation. So I feel like I need to go back to like our last EP because it was like I feel like we recorded that wasn't that like within a year? Like I mean
Yeah.
that was pretty fast of like me
yes.
joining. It was August that I joined right when I had my second son. So that
Yeah.
like my timing was good, but like I was also flaky. And then I think we recorded this in May, right? Was that what it
Yeah.
was? So,
Yeah.
it was like we kind of jumped into it.
Yeah.
And that's where we were like I had come from heavier and punkier bands, but there was like
Yeah.
something as I try not to like highbrow explain to friends that like we have the jazz philosophy. Like even though it's like just the experimentation and the idea that like I think you guys have both said it is that like if there's something you want to try, like we'll at least try it, and like we won't say no to much. So like sort of
Yeah.
that idea. I had come out of two bands where I literally recorded two albums, and then after they recorded it, they're like, "Yeah, maybe we should like rework some of these songs." It's like, dudes, we just spent like a lot of time. Like I was so at that point I was frustrated, so I just wanted people that were like into like not shelving their work to like rework the same couple songs. Like
Yeah.
what I really liked about us is that we would write a song or I know what is it? I know that you know, or like a
Yeah.
couple of covers that
Oh.
we like started with, and it was like 3 weeks later we were playing them live. And so
Yeah.
to sort of having that like
Yeah.
keeping you on your toes with playing was like a new way to do things versus like, hey, let's write these songs for a year and a half and maybe we'll play a show. And it's like, no, let's play it like it's a month. Let's get out there.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a draw. And then so we did our first EP, COVID, and then so that's where we started becoming this new album. I think is
Yeah.
more of like who we're becoming, and we're able to like be a band versus that first one we sort of just had preconceived
Yeah.
ideas of what we were doing, and we just wanted to like have new material. So it's yeah.
Yeah, and adding to that, I mean, it's just given time for the three of us to gel. Like three of us. So it's one thing to be able to play together and be speaking the same language, but to really to get to know somebody, there's just something about that connection. Having more time.
Yeah.
It makes the music better.
Well, few
Yeah.
things are more important within a band dynamic, I would think, than chemistry. I mean, so
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
guys, start playing together. When did you know? When did you know that you had the right configuration?
Actually, it was a couple of different points. So, um, I think in spring of 18, Keith was like part hosting this group of people who Cedric you know now, but that was an open mic up here in Lincoln Square
Yeah.
next to the Old Town School of Folk Music. and we just parted ways with our previous drummer, but we're like, okay, we have a show coming up, like let's woodshed, come up with some acoustic arrangements. And then we did that, and we were just like, all right, let's go to the open mic and just bounce them off the people, see what our reactions are, and just see how comfortable we are playing this stuff. So we did that, and then I just posted about like this kind of idea of social media 1.0 of like getting off the frickin' computer and like, hey, let's meet up for a beer or a coffee sometime. And Mike bid on that. And I knew of Mike from his work with Arbogast. Um, and completely floored by the energy level that he brought, and very precise but very primal punk metal, kind of just heavy, fast, not necessarily grindy stuff, but like there's an intensity and a ferocity and a primalness that really kind of attracted me to that music and his playing with that. But Mike was like, hey, I want to come hang out. I'm like, cool. All right, I know you're a drummer, but let's hang out and just like let's start by hanging out versus doing an audition this time. And Mike came out and he actually like hung out with Keith and I the whole night, like during the open mic, like even after we played, and he sat there and he was actually had a sketchbook, he was drawing a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I kind of dig that. Like very creative oriented person. He has a sense of visual things going on. I like that because I'm a visual guy as well. And like we Keith and I both really kind of got on with Mike. We were hanging out and had good, it was very good rapport. It was very good kind of chemistry off the bat. And I was like, all right, well, let's give it a shot, right? So we had thought about like kind of our future with lineups, and then I'm just like, hey, let's just see if Mike is interested in playing a show with us. And we had a show offer to play up in Madison with some friends up there, and then we were supporting Manny from Sonar's other band called Aku Quintet. They're kind of a progressive jazz quintet. They were on a visa and a grant from the Swiss government to come tour North America. So he hit me up for a show, and it was the middle of summer, or I don't know, actually early fall, but it was like still really hard to get venues for the weekend they were going to plan to be in Chicago. So we were just trying to kind of help out with like, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's go to a college town. Let's go to Madison because that's probably good for. They're a bit more experimental for one, and two, it's a different crowd. So, and then it's like, all right, well, if we're doing this, like, let's see if, hey, Mike wants to do this. Like your first gig with us, we're playing out of state. Like we're not even going to play like one of our usual places in Chicago. Like,
Right.
Let's see if you could hang with the idea of like touring.
Yeah.
Worked out fantastically. So I think we didn't really have an audition. It was just more like, hey, look, this guy can play. Like, let's just work through some rehearsals. And Keith and I did a show like that with a friend of ours who filled in for another show we played months before at Reggie's, where in like a 6-week period, we had like basically rewritten our set to his style.
Right.
Because like we didn't want the guy to be intimidated, we wanted him to be comfortable and put this flavor onto the composition. So we actually reworked like I don't know 4 or 5 of our tunes. We threw in a couple of tunes to jam on with him, and I'm like, well, let's take that approach again and just kind of see how it goes. It went really well with the last guy, and then we did that with Mike. But what Mike brought was like more compositional structure than like just trying to play the tunes. Like there were some really cool like dynamics he was bringing as a drummer. I'm like, all right, this is working. So yeah, I think we had like 2 like rehearsals, and Mike just had his second kid at the time, so it's like, all right, when you can fit it in, we'll just make it work. And then I think we had like maybe 1 or 2 more, and then it was like, all right, we have to drive up to Madison now. And it was one of those like, all right, well, since it's just a one night thing, like we got some fairly inexpensive lodging at this nice little resort. The girlfriends came up with us, and we made a night of it, and it was fun, not like a touring pressure gig where it's like we're crammed in a car with all our shit and, driving around at 2 a.m. It's like, this is a test the waters. Went flyingly well. Our friends up in Madison really dug Mike's playing. He was a good fit. Mike seemed like, I don't know, you seemed like you had a good time up there. So that was kind of the start. That was 5 years ago. We played that show, and then it just kind of kept rolling. we kept with the arrangements we came up with for Mike, and then we threw in some ideas of like, okay, let's do some standards. Like we each pick something, and how are we going to interpret this as this new group? And that was kind of the way forward. Where I think you did. I know what you know. I know what you know. Is that's the title? Really old standard from like the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Sunny Side Up album, I think, or one of the Sonny Rollins albums where it's Sonny Rollins and Duke not Duke. I'm sorry. It's all Giants, the Dizzy album with the two Sonnies on it. So like it's like a Tenor Madness kind of thing, but we did like a doom metal interpretation of it with all this like harmonies and stuff, and it was kind of cool. So yeah,
I for one, I think the first time I actually heard Mike play was right after I moved up here, and you guys played outside. I was not ready, Mike, for your playing. I was just because you're just a low key, soft spoken guy, and then you got behind the kit and something broke loose. And,
That's right.
and
I think that's saving for you.
I appreciate that because I'm just kind of staring like, who is this guy? What did he do with Mike? So,
Where was he?
where does that energy come from, Mike? What drives you in that way?
I think that's why I stuck with like one of my good friends while we were playing all the punk, and I truly believe music is a sense that once it really gets inside your bones, it's kind of like it's real, like it's a real energy, like so that's kind of why, which is funny because like I've always had a love for jazz. Like if you find my bands like from college, it was like it was like indie pop bands with like keyboards and harmonies and stuff. But like also there was this other punk band, and so it's like I always had the energy for like the faster music because I just music is just amazing. So it's just like I always tried to play quieter and chiller, but like I just never physically could. So it's like
it doesn't work.
So yeah, it's like as much as I try to pull back, I was just kind of like, I sort of just need to keep driving. So I don't know. So that's like where it is. I know that it's like from the ether is where it comes from. Music truly.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I can't, any show that I'm at, I find myself, I'm always bouncing. I'm always I'm always moving whenever it's on. And, it's like, it's really one of those things that I feel kind of inside me.
Well, that's
something to be said too, because Mike always looks like he's enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're experiencing that and kind of
I love it.
emoting that makes the live experience just take on such a different level, because people really connect with that. So
that's exactly right. It's good for the band. It's good for the audience.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I've never, in the times I've seen you guys, I mean, what, half a dozen, 7, I don't know. I haven't been counting. I never felt a sense of drudgery from what you guys were doing. You were up there and you were having a ball, which brings me to Captain Cool. That would be Keith over here.
Yep.
How would you describe your playing style? I mean, because to me it was kind of like you're the, I don't know. Well, I'm going to stick with the cool aspect of the band. You've got that smoother thing going. What do you consider your approach when you play?
I think my approach just comes from my background. I've always my full background has been jazz, but I was always more into the things that are more challenging. Like Coltrane was always one of my favorite guys. Miles Davis. So that kind of stuff, and then fusion, which I loved. And good old 70s fusion, and then metal. I started listening to metal in high school, and so I think when you see me, when I play, I'm really trying to fuse. Like I'm not trying to. I think I just naturally fuse all of those. I naturally bring those things to the table. And going back to what you said about Mike, like enjoying himself and looking like it's fun, and it's not an act. He looks that way because he's enjoying it, and it's the same way with me. I'm feeling it, and I just feel like when we're an instrumental band, and the fact that you're instrumental already makes it a little bit of a challenge sometimes in a bar situation where you're trying to connect with people. So to me, it's really important that we really be enjoying ourselves and try to communicate the joy to the people that are listening, because I think that I think that if that joy's there and you're really into it, that gets communicated regardless of whether what they came to listen to or what they're used to listening to. And I think that's one of the things that separates us. Is that
I'd say so.
yeah.
Would you say that you're close to finding your audience in Chicago? Have you found a few spots that you absolutely know will work, or are you still kind of feeling that out?
Oh God. Yeah. There's a challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eric, I'll let you take that one.
That's when we start talking about the second band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I'm getting to that, believe me.
It's
Mhm.
it's one fan at a time.
I hear you.
If we hit one fan at a time at a show, I'm happy. Um, and our shows now, there's this paradigm in Chicago in particular. I found this more so than when I was like sort of in Austin. Um, and there's this whole sort of clickiness where, you'll have 5 to 10 friends show up at a show. And that's what most venues kind of budget is like your bookability and like if they would have you back. But one of the things that Keith and I keep talking about lately, and I talk about this in other projects I work on too, where we're booking shows, I would much rather play to a room full of complete strangers than to 10 of my closest friends.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
because those people are more likely, if they stick around, to become fans. Whereas, most of my friends are musicians, and I appreciate when they come out, especially when they want to come out and talk about the music or talk to me or support us or whatever it is. But usually there's an agenda with that. Some of it has to do with reciprocity, with like, hey, I come to your show, you come to my show. And that's fine. And that's kind of a part of, you do your part as being part of a community. I hate the word scene because it just
That's fair.
But you want to support your friends, of course. But for me, a successful show is a room full of strangers and a line at the merch table. Um, and it's not that I'm greedy. The line at the merch table means we can get the album done quicker. The line at the merch table is, hey, we got a tank of gas and a few beds to sleep in tonight. So that's where my brain is. I'm looking ahead. I want to get the band out of the United States because the type of music we play has, from what I've learned, is more of a fan base overseas.
Yeah.
The type of music that we play actually has more of a fan base out in the East Coast and probably the West Coast. So as we move forward, that my mind doesn't really think so much locally anymore because we've been here 8 years locally already. And it's been a challenge to find that audience locally. There are people who come to our shows that are friends or fans, and we cherish those people. We honor them. We're always happy to see them at shows. But we're at a point where we need to go where the research is telling us to go for the kind of music that we play and for the comments and the sort of engagement we get. And that's outside of Chicago, unfortunately.
Understood. Speaking of
Yeah.
the road, go ahead,
Go
Keith.
ahead,
Wait,
Keith.
Yeah, let me just point it that we do fine with our shows. People enjoy us. People come.
Yeah.
People enjoy us. We're just
Sure.
trying to push to the next level. Is what the real
That's
issue is.
That's it.
And it's kind of hard to do that because in Chicago, like we fall in between. We're not quite jazz.
Yeah.
We're not quite rock or metal. You know what I mean? We're just
Yeah.
this kind of ambiguous kind of in between that doesn't necessarily fit.
Yeah. So,
bills.
right, the bands who do what we do tend to tour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is
If
exactly
you look at
what I was leading
analogs
into.
of what our sound is like, they just tend to tour, even if they're smaller bands, because it's a limited market. We're not we're not like playing a major sort of in the moment genre of music, where it's hyper accessible, and that I don't think we necessarily want to. I mean, we're playing the music we want to play because we enjoy playing it. So that's the trade-off. If we wanted to be something ultra accessible, we'd be an indie rock band, or we'd be a doom metal band, or post rock band, or whatever, what have you, whatever the flavor is right now, we'd be on that, trying to push that and play that. So we do have some of those elements in our songs, but yeah, we're playing music for us. And I think that's it. None of us in this band are sidemen.
I got you.
Right.
It makes
As
sense.
much as like say Sons of Ra is like a lot of it's my vision, it's shared. It's like we're not sidemen. We're each equal players in this band. Everybody has something valid to say, valid to contribute, and it wouldn't work without the three of us.
Like I said, that goes back to chemistry.
Oh, absolutely.
Chemistry is everything. Speaking of the road, you guys are preparing to hit Same. Tell me about the upcoming tours.
So right now we are going to be doing just a small tour of the Midwest. It's really after for myself, not touring in a long time, just to kind of get a feel for it. We're playing with some good friends of ours from Colorado, a band called The Source. The main guy is originally from the Minneapolis area, but he's doing a leg in the fall, and we've worked on jumping on and just doing a small 3 to 4 date run with them, just in the upper Midwest. So we're going to be playing Madison, we're going to be playing Minneapolis, and we're coming back here in Chicago at the end of October. So that's booked right now. We got another potential date, possibly the following week in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and then I'm trying to see what we can find right now in Michigan before the holidays hit. Looking at both the east and west side of the lower part of the state. So. And this is just really us figuring it out, like getting comfortable with, we've done a few shows where we've gone just just as a small group. Hey, can we do this? We get along. Cool, fine. We share in the whatever the expenses and stuff. But now it's the business part of it, like testing out the business philosophy behind what I've been wanting to do in a small way of like, hey, can we stretch this over a weekend? And without much damage to our personal lives financially, without a huge amount of risk. Because that's honestly the reality of a lot of the stuff now. I see so many bands that are touring, they have to stop because they run out of money or the shows dry up or, something happens at the venue, one or two shows that they were supposed to play out, and then they're in the hole and then they have to go home. And even getting home is a challenge because it costs money to drive, it costs gas money. So we're taking a very cautious approach to this kind of model with the touring regionally right now. The ultimate goal, obviously, is once our album is complete, to try to do something where maybe it's a week long. But we got to prove this out first, and we got to really think through all the logistics as we're learning. And we have a great partner with this. The guys from The Source have been really supportive of what we're doing. They're helping us out with a lot of the logistical stuff that make it possible for us to play with limited investment in vehicles and trailer and all that right now. Like we can just basically take one car, hit the road with them, and we should be pretty good. So, but it feels like the right time for us to do this. I've been talking about this, I feel like, for years, and it sounds like a broken record, but we have to start testing it out and just kind of see how it goes. So.
Makes sense. Mike, how are you feeling about the road? I'm just asking in general here. Are you comfortable with the idea? What comes to mind when you think about going on tour?
Exactly what Erik just said. I mean, I think there's so much we can do. You got to do it smart, right? I think that's like the most effective way to do this. Like we're not at this spot where we want to play Monday through Sunday, like so shows. I think we'd rather have more of an impact when we go, and I think that's why we're focusing on where we're doing it.
Right. How about you, Keith? Where's your comfort zone on the road? You just good wherever you are?
I'm good wherever I am. But I look forward to playing. For me, it's about playing in front of new faces. I look forward to going out playing. Yeah, I think we have something good here, and I just want to show people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The groupie concurs with you because I wouldn't keep coming to shows if I wasn't enjoying myself.
We
I
thank you for
guarantee.
that.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys, welcoming, inviting me in, because it was it's not like it's the first time I've ever moved somewhere and not known anybody, but it's nice to know I had a little foundation built in when I got here. But
Cool.
sentimentality aside,
Yeah.
we talked about reaching an audience through the type of music you're playing, but now you've kind of gone dual personality on me. Now we
Yeah.
have the
Right.
KW3 aspect, and
Yep.
since we know what the KW stands for, let's ask KW what brought this along.
Well, because as Eric explained, our background is him and I playing a lot of standards, and that's running through standards kind of really helped to inspire this album that we're working on. We thought it would be nice to have a vehicle that plays more of that, but more so than that. What KW3 is with Sons of Ra, like we've got really complex. We're bringing in like jazz fusion and prog rock and all these original songs that can be a little challenging, just from a pure listening standpoint.
Right.
KW3 is just like fun. It's just like it's covers. It's all the songs that kind of like that really influenced us, and also fun newer songs too. So it's not just the old stuff, but it's new. We're not really trying to challenge anybody. This is pure fun for money in Chicago, right? Because we're talking about with Sons of Ra touring around and kind of de-emphasizing playing in Chicago, whereas with we still live here. We still want to play, and so KW3 is kind of an answer to give the people what they want, play, have fun, and make some money. Help finance the Sons of Ra thing.
Makes sense. If you're playing covers, who's bringing the songs to the table? Does everybody have something that they want to play, or how does that work?
All of us.
Yeah.
Of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a meeting where somebody looks down and just no, we're not. I'm not doing. I'm not doing that one.
Well, I mean, that still could happen, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we all have to be cool with it, but
Yeah.
But so far, we've kind of been all over the board, haven't we? I mean, in terms of the type of material.
Yeah, but
That's all right.
I think we're being a bit more focused though now. And I say this, but I'll plant the Easter egg after I'm done. Something we're working on in an arrangement, but it's a vehicle for jazz. That's just being able to express that, but also like embracing other things that don't necessarily work with like when we're trying to play heavy music. So like just
Right.
thinking about things from a funk context. We all love it. Mike really has been kind of pushing for that too, like adding more funkiness to what we're doing, danciness, and kind of having that. We have a little bit of that with Sons of Ra, but like, all right, let's just take that and really amp that up with covers. So, case in point example, Chameleon from Herbie Hancock's in our repertoire. One of our favorite jams. We do the meters, that kind of stuff. So looking at where we have opportunity for that and really showcase and explore other idioms and genres within sort of the jazz, soul, funk context, and just have it be something that's more upbeat, more like party. That's
Right.
I mean, for Christ's sake, our next show is at the beach.
And I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so
But
it's like come out to the beach, have a smoothie and a hot dog and chill out with us up in Rogers Park on August 25th, we're going to be
Oops, we lost him.
I was wondering if that was me or if that was him.
No,
so I guess
it
that was
wasn't
him.
you. He'll figure it out in a minute. But I was just going to say, that being able to get people to move and get people to hear more familiar stuff, it keeps the butts in the seats, for lack of a better phrase. And
Well,
Yeah.
that was our thing, because Keith was trying to hit at that earlier, but like, we're not trying to say we're totally jaded with Chicago, but it's like, having your best friends show up, you can also wear thin on them. And so this kind of
Sure.
gives us the opportunity to still play to newer faces and to have people like really respond. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you make someone move, like they're gonna enjoy it. And so like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree completely. It's just one of the things I noticed, and you're sideways again, Eric. What- oh, okay. Well,
No.
have at it. Yeah, now you're fine. You're good there. You're good there. And I understand what you're saying about your friends and all that, because I actually commented to at least one of you about that. How impressed I am that of all the people I've met here, you guys show up for one another. But at the same time, you can't get the same friends to buy the same CD multiple times. You have to
Yeah,
you
right.
kind
Yeah.
of have to stretch
You gotta
it
stretch
out
it.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes
And
sense.
that's where KW3 comes in. Yep, and that's where we party. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's been fun. It's a good experiment. I think like it. We all kind of touched on this, but like it really was. It's the perfect venue for like all the stems that make Sons of Ra. And
Right.
it's
Right.
like, what if we do this? Like, what if we just play the same thing for like 3 minutes, like instead of 20 seconds? And so
Right.
that's like, so you know, it's kind of fun to do that.
and,
Makes sense.
and let me also say the other thing is it actually makes us better. It really does, because at the end of the day we're playing different stuff. Like it's forced. I've in KW3, like I tend to be playing more sax, so it's pushing that, which all of a sudden has Erik pushing a lot more, like playing like the bass and the chords comping at the same time, so there's more of that going on. We're experimenting with loops just as much as we are with Sons of Ra. So it's just it's making us more cohesive as a group, so it's a lot for us. Mm-hmm.
Right. No, it is not. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So there's no. I've never really felt like you guys have a Tuesday night gig. On Tuesday we'll be at who's a futz is.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
that.
yeah. Just
Yeah,
wait a little bit.
okay.
Wait.
Well, as Mom would say, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll be paying attention. It's not a problem. You guys, like I said earlier, you've recorded the new record. How far ahead do you think? Are you already kind of hearing ideas for what's beyond that, or are you just kind of laser focused on what you're doing now? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Seeing that.
we had ideas for that, before we went in the studio for this.
Right. It's, yeah, yeah. It is. You guys take up quite a bit of space, and Mike is moving with high energy, and and we were talking before about giving you an additional role, Mike. I see you more like a Pat Mastelotto, where you're back there using like a Roland hand sonic and got a couple of beatboxes and samplers and stuff like that. That would be that would be.
Just
Yeah,
wait, Sid.
yeah.
Just
Just
wait.
wait. Just wait. And
Ah,
time.
yeah, yeah. There's good. There's we call that good glue. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that,
that's the funny thing too, because it would I feel like if we were all soloing too much, it might be like
Yeah.
I almost need to pull back because then it allows us to like not be chaotic. But I know we are
yeah,
kind of joking on that, but like still, it's yeah, we're
yeah,
figuring it out. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah.
I believe it is just a good opportunity to stretch out and get.
And anybody that watches us or anybody that's been to a show will kind of be like, "Wait, Mike's holding back, really?
I
Okay."
know.
I I was thinking something similar. Really, that's back. You know,
Yeah.
one of these days, Mike's just going to go full Neil Peart on this, and we're just going to have to get out of the way and just wait that 8 minutes or so until it's over with, and then
Mhm.
and jump back in. Um, what else do you guys want to tell everyone about what's going on in your world? I'm gonna let you off the hook in a second, but new record going on the road, a couple of other surprises down the line. What anything else we need to know about or we'd like to know about?
All of the tracks.
Nicely done. Do you have do you have a date in mind for a release or an estimate somewhere along those lines? That's fair. That's fair. Mike looked like he wanted to add something. Did you want
Yeah,
to?
that's no, that's good enough.
No, fair enough. Well, guys, I know some of us have to run, so I won't keep you forever like I do on some of my other conversations. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to
As
me.
well.
This is
Yeah,
this was my
thank you.
first multi-person interview, and I think it went pretty well. So I will see you guys down the road. probably like within a couple of days because I'm never all that far away. But thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Appreciate it, Cedric.
That's it.